Hello, sir. Here we are here to discuss about stress work at
Hello.
workplace with Dr. Manoj Bhatadwekar. And before that, I'll introduce sir a bit. Dr. Manoj is a psychiatrist since 35 years, and also he has written a book on awareness in psychiatry in Marathi. And also he is not only just a psychiatrist, but he's also a lyricist. He takes interest in music and book writing. Uh, Welcome, sir. I hope that most of us who are seeing this video will be able to uh, get our questions cleared at on this platform of Samvad. And thank you again for giving your time and like having letting us have this opportunity to talk about this topic, which is stress work at workplace. So stress work at workplace is a very common and an unavoidable thing, and small amount it's needed also for like good productivity. But then when it gets over the limit and it starts affecting your health, we really need to be aware about how to manage it. So I'll first, I would want to ask you the first question: what kind of stresses do you see in your patients who have 9 to 5 job?
Uh, well, at the outset, congratulations to Samvad for having been, continuously involved with mental health awareness. And also, thank you so much for having invited me here today. Ayushi, as you rightly said, some amount of stress is required in order to function. You can compare that with a musical instrument, a stringed musical instrument. When you put some stress on the string, you can play music. If the
Yes.
strings are too loose, there is no stress at all, there's no music. And if the stress is overboard, then the string will break. Again, there is no music, right? So if you want to keep playing optimum music, some amount of stress is required.
Hmm.
However, what happens is many times the stress really goes overboard. And basically, we find two kinds of stresses. One is an acute stress, which comes up because of some situation and it dies on its own. Sometimes the stress can be really chronic because of too much of overwork, too much of pressure, too much of conflict, too much of frustration, deadlines, so different kinds of things, and one burns out.
Yeah.
So you're exhausted completely as a result of struggling with work. That's the chronic kind of stress. Now, basically, stress is nothing but increased demands on your system. So whenever there are increased demands on your system, your psycho, neuro, endocrine, immune axis is put under a lot of pressure, and there are demands, and then this axis tries to cope with the increased demands, and then problems can begin if you don't take care of them. Primarily, all stress can be kind of categorized into the three words that I used earlier. Pressure, say for example, there's pressure of meeting a deadline or completing a work in a particular span of time, or there are targets of meetings, or
Yeah.
there are targets of traveling. For example, day-to-day travel can be stressful, so there is pressure because of these things. The second kind of stress that we commonly encounter is conflict. So whether to do this or to do that. So the
Hmm.
dilemmas related to decision making, which causes a conflict, and that gives rise to stress. And the third kind of stress that we commonly find is frustration. When your goals are not met, you've set a target and you fail to achieve it, then what results is it's called frustration. So work stress, after a period of time, once there is stability, say after the age of 35, for example, There's not much to be achieved in terms of your position or your money. You know, promotions keep happening, but that sense of achievement and the tension of achievement isn't there. So it's not enough motivation for you to work. So stability can many times be interpreted as monotony. So work starts appearing monotonous to you, and then you start getting bored. So that's another kind of another dimension of work stress.
Thank you for such an amazing analogy in the first place, and you categorized it very well. So yeah, could understand it right now. And so, like, how do you deal with the negative atmosphere at workplace? There's one more aspect that sometimes, you know, you are in a position where you feel that everyone is targeting you. So, what to do then, and how do you deal with that?
Look, Aishi, talking about atmosphere around you, let us remember two things. If I say that atmosphere around me is negative, there could be some truth into it in terms of the difficult kind of people that I'm surrounded with. At the same time, maybe it is my perception that it is negative. So I really need to differentiate between the two, number one. Secondly, if somebody is constantly feeling targeted, or the atmosphere is really negative, really toxic, what needs to be done in that case is, it's like filling yourself with stress every day and carrying that stress like a baggage with you every day. Again, I'll give you an analogy. If you don't sweep the floor of your house on a day-to-day basis, dust will accumulate. So similarly, stress accumulates if you don't de-stress every day. So something needs to be done. So how do you deal with the negativity? You cannot really do anything about the negativity outside you, but that outside negativity creates some negativity inside you, and you can take care of that negativity. And that's good news, because you can take care of it, right? So in other words, what I'm trying to say is, do not keep focusing on things which are happening outside. Focus on things which are happening inside. How does the outside negativity affect you? Is it causing sleeplessness? Is it causing mood disturbance? Is it causing anxiety? Is it causing sadness? Are you becoming irritable? If all this is happening to you, or maybe you have physical symptoms like headache or hyperacidity or muscle aches or pain in the neck, lower backache, symptoms of stress which are physical and psychological, then probably that's a warning signal. So how do you deal with negativity inside? You first of all recognize the negativity, and then do something on a day-to-day basis in order to de-stress yourself. Thirdly, if it is only your perception, maybe there are a few colleagues at the place of your work with whom you are friendly, with whom you're pally with, and whom you can trust and whom you confide with. Maybe you discuss with these people, is this really happening, or is it just my perception? Maybe their inputs will help you. Yeah. And no matter what, remember one thing: if you're feeling targeted, if you're feeling all the time that you are being rejected, you do not condemn yourself, you do not reject yourself, no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, the last point was like definitely important, that you can't be giving yourself the stress, the over stress over having the stress. And
Correct.
so, like, coming to colleagues, which you said that we can ask for colleagues for opinions also, that is it happening, but many a times that it happens that there are conflicts with uh, our colleagues also having uh, opinion of different uh, perception. So how do you deal with that when it becomes a conflict, and you how do you deal with that when you
Well,
getting
conflicts are
affected?
going to be, yeah. Well, conflicts are going to be there, right? If there are two different people and there are disagreements. So maybe the best way to deal with interpersonal conflict is communication. So communicate well with the person with whom you're having a conflict. It is better to clarify that, look, this is the way I look at it. This is the way you look at it. Normally what happens is when there are disagreements are very often converted into judgments, and you start judging the other person. This person is like this person deliberately does this to me, and this person is not going to improve this person. So there are a lot of biases, prejudices, and critical comments which are given. So how to receive criticism is also an art. If there are conflicts, so as I said, communicate openly, put your cards on the table, say what you want to say very clearly. If you have some expectations, state them very clearly, and then some things can be resolved. At the end of the discussion, for example, if nothing is resolved or you're not happy, you can end the discussion with, let us agree to disagree on some issues. But basically, the attempt is to restore harmony and agreement. Now, coming to receiving criticism, that I said, it's an art. If somebody criticizes you, what's your immediate reaction? You either tend to be very defensive and deny or negate or challenge, or you attack, you become aggressive, you get angry, and you're disturbed. It's okay to disagree with criticism. My objection is to the disturbance that it causes inside, right? So you need to take care of yourself. Remember that. Somebody is criticizing you. How do you look at the criticism? First of all, say to that person, oh, this is the way you think about me, or this is the way you think about what I'm doing. However, this is how I look at it. So again, make your position very clear and distinguish between that person's perception about you and your own perception about yourself. If there is something that you can partially agree with in the criticism, say, thank you so much. You pointed this out. I had not realized this. Maybe I'll take a note of this and improve. If you totally disagree with it, don't internalize the criticism, because then you're going to, that person has said it. What that person has said belongs to that person. What you make out of it inside you belongs entirely to you. So take care of that. So don't internalize it. Otherwise, you're going to harm yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so like communication is the key, and then even if that doesn't happen, then agreeing to disagreeing is something which can which
Yes.
will definitely help you. And do not internalize it, do not take it personally. So take care of yourself is the first thing we need to do. So
Yeah.
many a times it happens that with colleagues, you have your personal life also connected, and at the same time you are working with them professionally. So how do you should that be the case, or how do you manage with the same if that's the case?
You're trying to ask about personal life and work life, is it?
Yes,
How
personal
to
and
distinguish?
professional
That's what
life.
you want to know. Okay.
Yeah.
See, it's like this. The common factor is you, right? So you are the same person in your personal life, in your family life, and also in your work life. I'll tell you what I do. When I get out of my clinic, I switch off the light in my cabin, and I also switch off my professional work inside. And I leave saying that now my work is over. So this art of switching off is very important. Don't carry your home stresses to your work, and don't carry your work stresses home. Home is home, work is work, but you are the common factor. So, in order to do this, what is important is you take care of yourself, take care of your lifestyle. So, take good sleep, eat properly, have some exercise, do some healthy relaxation activities like yoga, meditation, maybe listening to music, pursuing your hobby whenever you have a time, and definitely have some strategies ready which you can use. For example, somebody has learned a breathing technique which relaxes that person. So that person then uses this breathing technique whenever he starts feeling stressed, and that works. So don't wait for a stressful situation to arise and then you can't at the last minute search for a technique. So be ready with some strategies which relax you in a healthy manner. I'm not talking about addictive substances. I'm talking about healthy relaxation strategies, right? So if you have a regular lifestyle in which you maintain your work and life balance, then see, because there is life beyond work. Work is a very, very important part of life, but still it is a part of life. You can't become a workaholic. If you tend to do that with no recreation, no relaxation, no exercise, no lifestyle management, then probably you will burn out easily. And we see lots of these cases of burnout in corporate culture. People are under pressure tremendously. And, for example, recently I saw a 40-year-old person who had already undergone an angioplasty. The reason was this person used to spend nearly 16 hours of his day only working, working, working. Even when he was out of office, he would carry his work home. And then he would, in addition, work from home. And there was no exercise, eating habits were bad, there was no sport, he was poor, his sleeping habits were poor. And then this resulted in something which is as major as myocardial disease. So what I'm trying to say here is take care of yourself. If you take care of yourself, then you can take care of everything around you and also your work.
Yeah. So don't make work your life. Work is still a part of your life, and
Absolutely.
take
Yes.
care of yourself and take efforts to
Correct.
maintain your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so right now in this COVID pandemic, there are a lot of uncertainties which has been in our lives related to work. So, how do you think that we will be able to adjust to the new normal post pandemic, and how do we deal with these uncertainties right now?
See, we're talking about uncertainties, Ayushi. Tell me, when was life certain? Even before COVID, right? Life was always uncertain, right? Uncertainty is the only certain thing in life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let us not forget that before the COVID crisis, we have faced several crises, be it terrorism, be it bomb blasts, being floods, be it whatever. Major disasters we have faced, and we have coped and have come out. So if you want to be resilient, by resilience I mean coming back with at least the same level of energy that you had before the crisis, right? So if you want to be resilient, remember one thing, that you are not dealing with any uncertainty outside. You're always dealing with the effects of uncertainty which happen to you inside. So you're not dealing with anything outside. You're not dealing with coronavirus, are you? No, but you are taking, so you got scared. What did we do with the fear? We use the fear to take precautions. Say, for example, I'm crossing the road and there's a risk of being run over by a vehicle. So what do? I take precautions to cross the road properly. I first look to the right, then cross half the road, then look to the left, and then cross the road. So what have I done here? I have used the fear of getting run over, by a vehicle into precautions. So similarly, now we are wearing masks, we are washing our hands, using sanitizers, keeping social distance, and whatnot, right? So all these are precautions that we are taking. One more thing that we need to, or we are taking measures to improve immunity, physical measures. But one more important thing that we all have forgotten is we also need to take care of our stresses in life. Because if we are overstressed, that affects immunity adversely. And if we are overstressed, that increases the comorbidities like diabetes, like hypertension, like heart disease, and then you become more susceptible, more prone to infection. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say here is if you want to deal with uncertainty, all you need to do is, again, coming back to the same thing, you need to take care of your lifestyle. What has gone wrong with people's lifestyle these days is I find people are sleeping at odd hours, waking up at odd hours. Oh, I'm working at home, so I can afford to get up late, I can afford to sleep late, and anyway, I'm working from. No, that doesn't work. Whatever it is, even if it's a new lifestyle, it will still have some structure, right? So the body remains the same, the body's requirements remain the same. So take care of the body. If you want your body to take care of the virus and fight it, you need to take care of the body. It's as simple as that. So whatever are the challenges that come, you need to have a good lifestyle. And two things I will definitely recommend here from my own experience. I'm a trained facilitator in meditation, and that's why I'm telling you this, that meditation helps tremendously improve your resilience, improves your immunity. It works on the psychoneuroendocrine immune axis, thereby improve your immunity. This is one thing. And meditation is not sitting like Gautam Buddha going to a jungle and sitting under a tree. Meditation is relaxed awareness. So you're aware of what you're doing and you're relaxed at the same time. Also, another thing which I will tell you, which is again scientific, is that.
So, sir, how to deal with uncertainties in during this Corona time, and how can you adjust to the new normal life?
Well, everybody seems to be talking about uncertainty, and if you really look back into our life before the corona crisis, tell me one thing, when was life certain? Was it ever certain? No. In fact, uncertainty is the only certain thing in our life, right? Before the COVID crisis came into our life, I'm sure all of us remember that we did face several crises in our lives. Big, small. This is too big. This is on a pandemic level. But on a smaller scale, and yet on a much larger scale, I would say we have faced terrorism, we have faced accidents, we have faced water crisis, we have faced flooding, we have faced natural disasters, whatnot, right? And we have come back.
Yeah.
To the extent that I still remember when there was a huge bomb blast in the city, the next day trains in Mumbai were running as if nothing had happened.
Right.
So we have the coping strength to be resilient. We have the coping strength to come back. Now, coming back with at least the same level of energy as before, if we want to achieve this goal, we need to take care of our lifestyle. So sleep on time, eat on time, have a structured schedule, no matter what, even if you're working from home, even if it's a different life, it's a different lifestyle, still it's a lifestyle that needs to be taken care of. And it's a lifestyle with a structure. The body is the same, the body requirements requirements do not change. The body needs to sleep on time, wake up on time, eat on time, exercise on time, relax on time. Everything that you need to take care of the body, I mean, everything that you do in order to take care of the body, you do. And then the body will be able to take care of the virus in case you're infected. Correct? So
Right.
the psychoneuroendocrine immune axis
Mm.
works only if you take care of it. So how do you take care of it? I'm telling from my own experience. I'm a trained facilitator in meditation, and meditation helps the PNEI axis work well. What is meditation? It's nothing to do with going into the jungle and sitting under a tree like a Buddha. Meditation is relaxed awareness. So in your day-to-day life, you can practice some techniques. They could be brief techniques. They could be long 1 hour techniques on a regular basis, which you practice, which make you aware of what you are doing, and which also give you relaxation. So relaxed awareness is meditation. That's one thing. Another thing you need to do is, if you want to be happy, see, if you want to build up a good immunity, you need to be happy. So scientific research has shown that if you feel grateful, you feel happy.
Mm.
There have been various functional MRI studies done, and which show that when you're grateful, some areas of the brain, they light up on the MRI scans, and the same areas of the brain light up when you're happy. What does this mean? That the neurocircuitry of gratitude and the neurocircuitry of happiness is the same. So if you want to be happy, be grateful. Gratitude is the key to happiness, is the door to happiness. So practice gratitude on a day-to-day basis. Right now, in this given situation, what are my assets? What are my blessings? Am I able to count my blessings? I have a healthy body. Start with that. So express gratitude for the body. Then the materialistic things that I have. Then the people that I have. All the resources that I have in my life, if I'm grateful, if I feel gratitude within myself, if I express that gratitude verbally, in writing, in whatever manner I can, and if I keep working for other people, I feel happy. So the new COVID generated, if I were to use the word, the new COVID generated lifestyle is going to involve a lot of gratitude practice, a lot of humanitarian approach, and an understanding of your own self, your own functioning. So if we learn to be with ourselves, in touch with ourselves, then we'll also learn to be in touch with the world in a healthy manner. And that is why, if you are dealing with uncertainty, remember, you're not dealing with uncertainty outside you, you're dealing with uncertainty inside you. You're dealing with the negative emotions which the uncertainty generates. You're dealing with anxiety, depression, sadness, frustration, anger, and various other negative emotions. And meditation is a very effective way of dealing with all these things, moving towards acceptance, staying centered, staying grounded, and coming back with good resilience.
Thank you for like such a amazing ways of keeping up with the uncertainty during this pandemic. So like having a structured lifestyle and doing meditation, and definitely how gratitude towards smaller things, expressing them, how can it make a huge difference, is a few of things I think will definitely help the ones who is watching this video right now. The next question I want to ask you is, when do you seek out for a psychiatrist help? Like many of us know that are aware about various mental health issues, but when do you seek out for help? When is that particular point?
See, I'll put it very simply. if you were to differentiate between normal stress and a disorder, anything is called abnormal if it is intense, if it is pervasive, that is affecting several areas, several walks of my life, if it is persistent, if it is happening very often or constantly happening, and fourth, if it is interfering with my daily life. So anything that is pervasive, persistent, intense, and interfering, it is abnormal, it warrants attention, and the earlier you seek help, the better it is. So these are the criteria on which you should look for. Yeah?
Okay, thank you so much. So I think this was it, and I hope we have catered to most of the questions related to stress life at workplace. And thank you so much for, like, I want to thank you again for giving us this opportunity to learn so much. I learned a lot during this conversation right now, and
Even
yes,
I learned. My pleasure. Thank you so much, and congratulations to Samvad again.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.